Video games are great to play, but at times can be a bit more interesting when they play with you. You can give hundreds of hours into a game before the story makes a sudden left turn and completely breaks your mind. If done in a clever enough way, it can even have you replay the game with an entirely different perspective and pick up on many different things that you may have overlooked before. On some of our last top 10 videos, such as the top 10 gaming mysteries and top 10 scariest moments in gaming, the most common request from viewers was to cover the most surprising twists in games. So we decided it would make perfect sense for our next video. Just remember to comment below if we missed one of your favorites. Let us know what topics or lists you would like to see in future videos. Then be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out when those videos go live. If we pick your choice, we'll give you credit and a shout out in the next video. Number 10, Ocarina of Time, Ganon's Secret Plan. I'm sure everyone already knows the big surprise in Ocarina of Time. You collect the 3 spiritual stones, make your way to the Temple of Time, pull the Master Sword, 7 years pass, you're an adult. Ganondorf has taken over Hyrule, but this isn't the plot twist we're referring to. Yes, the entire world of Hyrule is different. Lake Hylia is dried up, Castletown is destroyed. However, the more hidden plot twist is the entire beginning of the game. Everything that you've done leading up to this point. While you are on your quest thinking you're saving Hyrule, really Ganondorf has planned out a very specific set of events to ensure he gains control of the Triforce. The Deku Tree, the Gorons, and the Zora have refused to give him the 3 spiritual stones, even though he's cursed them and tortured them. So he tricked Link into unintentionally collecting them for him. After the job was finished, he ran Zelda and Sheik out of the castle, stood back, and literally watched Link place all 3 spiritual stones and play the Song of Time to open the Door of Time, which leads to the Sacred Realm so he could get the Triforce. So the real moral of the story is, if a fairy tries waking you up, telling you a talking tree needs your help to save a kingdom and a princess that you've never even seen, just go back to sleep. There's no doubt in most people's minds that the Silent Hill games are amongst some of the creepiest video games ever created. However, of all the Silent Hills that have come out, the second installment has to take the cake when it comes to most disturbing ending. The game revolves around James Sunderland, who travels to Silent Hill to meet Mary, his wife. Upon his arrival, he is constantly tormented by monsters and a strange yet familiar apparition of a woman named Maria. Familiar in the sense that Maria looks an awful lot like Mary. As the game progresses, you stumble across a videotape which shows James killing his wife, who was the love of his life, in order to save her from suffering any longer from a terminal illness. And thus, it becomes inevitably clear to both James and you as the gamer that this entire game serves as a punishment for your murderous behavior. Punishment he may or may not deserve. These moral ambiguities make the plot twist even more disturbing. Is it self-imposed punishment, or will of the ancient sacred ground on which the town is built? Imagine playing through a tough game like Dark Souls, and after who knows how many hours, you complete the game only to be told everything you have experienced was simply an illusion, and you need to do it all over again. Well, that is exactly what happened with Ghosts and Goblins, one of the hardest games on the 8-bit NES, which was already considered to have much harder games than we're used to today. In this era of insanely hard games, when you didn't have save states or the internet to look up how to beat a level or a boss, we had the ending to Ghosts and Goblins, which told you this room is an illusion and is a trap devised by Satan, before forcing you to replay the entire game over again to actually beat it. Basically, Capcom's way of trying to make you never want to play any of their games again, unless you love torturing yourself.
This is probably one of the most famous and shocking twists, which is why I feel it should be on this list. Key characters dying in a game isn't that uncommon anymore. However, no game did it quite as well as Final Fantasy VII. You spend hours not only learning about Aerith, but the game makes you invest time gaining experience trying to raise her level, leveling her up just like the rest of your party, and convinces you that she is the love interest in the game. But then out of nowhere, Sephiroth comes out and puts an end to it all. At the time, it was probably, without a doubt, one of the biggest twists to ever happen, but over the years it has become something of common knowledge and common sense, like the Konami code and that Mario jumps when you press the right button.
If there's one video game character out there that isn't completely devoid of preconceptions and false prejudice, it's the innocent, lovable Kirby. If you ever need any help, he'll do whatever it takes to help you out, and such was the case in 2011's Kirby's Return to Dreamland. In this game, you are met with Magalar, an alien from a far-off planet, crash lands on Popstar, leaving his starship in shambles. So, being the young, valiant hero he is, Kirby and friends seek out all the missing pieces to Magalar's ship, and once completed, set off on a course to Magalar's home planet, known as Halcondra. After defeating Landia, a four-headed dragon whom attacked Kirby and the crew, Magalar collects a mystical crown that fell off of the dragon upon defeat, and after applauding, ominously puts on the crown, giving Magalar the power he needs to be able to complete his dastardly scheme of ruling the universe. Both Kirby and the player are left completely dumbfounded by the sudden plot twist, and thus, you are now poised to stop this villain at all costs, with the now awakened Landia by your side. While Kirby games are no stranger to twist endings, this is the first time an ally betrays Kirby's trust and exploits his services for his own selfish gain. You're a middle-aged man whose daughter was killed during the start of the zombie apocalypse. Yes, I know they aren't technically zombies, they call them clickers, but come on. Naughty Dog isn't being clever by creating their own unique version of a zombie. Anyways, you're currently living in this post-apocalyptic world, and you come across a young girl who reminds you of your own daughter. You travel together, live together, and are responsible for saving each other's lives several times. At the end of the game, you find out her blood makes her immune to the disease, and is essentially a cure. So you have a choice. You can potentially save the world with the only known cure, which emotionally will make you relive losing your daughter for the second time, or you can listen to your heart and do what you can to not let the same thing happen to another young child. Joel saves the girl. What happens next, and what are the true consequences to this big twist? Well, we don't really know as we're still waiting on the sequel to launch, but it does make you ask yourself, which would you do? Would you willingly hand over someone you view as a daughter to be abused, tortured, and killed for a cure that may not actually work? Or would you be the bad guy and risk the world never having a cure, possibly even saving the lives of millions?
Now here's a twist that some gamers weren't aware of. While Zelda is the princess, Link is the hero. Which leads many to ask, why is the game called Zelda when some of these games only have a very, very minor appearance by her, and 99% of the time, you're just playing as Link? Well, a similar situation has happened with other Nintendo franchises. Actually, both Donkey Kong and Metroid had the same problem. The title of the games were named after the enemies, while you played as Jumpman, who became Mario, and Metroid, you play as Samus. I bring this up because the names play into this. The first twist comes when players realize, just as Link isn't Zelda, Samus is not named Metroid. But the major twist comes at the very end of the game. Every player who finished the original Metroid, unless they fell victim to spoilers, were surprised to find out that Samus was actually a woman. At the time, this was one of the biggest surprises you would find in a game. A lot of people like to joke about the clear shape of a girl's butt, but if we're being serious, I would actually love to see Nintendo or another developer do this today. Have a costumed or armored character who we assume is a male end up being a female, or switch it up and have who we believe to be a female end up being a male. Just imagine if someone like Master Chief took off their helmet and our hero was a heroine. Just as fans were surprised to see the twist involving the main character in the first Metroid, players who made their way through Red Dead Redemption were met with another shocking surprise. This time, instead of John revealing himself to be a beautiful woman, he simply dies. You spend countless hours in the world of Red Dead Redemption trying your best to do the right thing. During the final moments of the game, John pledges to stay out of the outlaw life. He gets out of his deal with Ross and returns home to his wife and son. The game could potentially end here as a great happy ending, but Red Dead takes it just a step farther. Soon after, he is attacked by soldiers and government agents and local law enforcement, all being led by Ross. He is able to protect himself and get his family to safety, but just when you think that he has made it, this moment happens. With several bullets hitting John, killing the hero you spent the entire game getting to know and love. As great as the game is, the demand for a sequel has finally been heard, and a follow-up is coming, being developed from the ground up with an amazing new engine. But unless the game is a prequel, or a crazy miracle happens and John somehow comes back to life, we won't be seeing him in this game.
With the release of games such as Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft, and even more recently with Breath of the Wild, there is definitely an empty void when it comes to open world games that allow the player to make his or her own decisions. And with that, an opportunity to capitalize on this genre exists stronger than ever before. However, for most of history, video games have comfortably sat in the field of point me where you want me to go, and I'll do it. For too long have games controlled the actions of the player and restricted what his or her limitations are. But never has there been a game to question this utter lack of free will, that is until BioShock came out in 2007. In this game, you are guided through a crumbling water utopia by a man named Atlas, who speaks to you through a radio. Atlas seems very helpful, telling you what to do and how to get it done, effectively becoming a vital component of the game, and thus it's only natural you build such a strong bond with this Atlas character you've come to know so well through the many hours of gameplay. But Atlas isn't who or what he seems. Towards the end of the game, it's revealed that the protagonist, Jack, has been brainwashed, and he's been responding to a trigger phrase all along, the phrase being, "Would you kindly?"
Would you kindly pick up that shortwave radio?
Would you kindly find a crowbar or something? Would you kindly?
Would you kindly?
Now, would you kindly?
Would you kindly? Powerful phrase.
When the phrase is uttered, Jack does whatever he's told, including kill. And even though you do make your own decisions here and there, for the most part, you're just doing what Atlas is telling you to do. And sure, you might try to make sense of it all in the end and justify the rather horrid things Atlas told you to do as him just controlling your actions against your own free will. But to be honest, as a gamer, you didn't give these actions a second thought. You simply did what the game was telling you to do in order to continue progressing, as is the case when you play most video games. So not only did BioShock effectively blow your mind with one hell of a plot twist, but it also questioned you and your lack of attention as a gamer on a meta scale. Are these really the kind of games you want to play? Do you always want to have an Atlas to tell you what to do? Or would you rather make your own decision, much like in most open world sandbox games? I mean, I know I'm beating on a dead horse here, but if this doesn't make you appreciate the game that much more, I sincerely don't know what will. Before we make our way to our final game on this list, it's time for a few quick honorable mentions. But first, I just want to say thank you for the support you've been showing this channel. We're very close to reaching our next goal of 50,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll be one step closer. So again, thank you. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you look forward to new videos like this coming every day, hopefully. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. When you're a video game based off of one of Hollywood's most treasured franchises, it's no surprise that a few games here and there may have an interesting plot twist once in a while. Well, in 2003's Knights of the Old Republic, you play a Jedi who suffers from amnesia. As you venture on anticipating the ultimate clash with the evil Darth Malak, you also slowly learn more and more about who you are, and by the end of the game you realize that this whole time you are none other than Darth Malak's own master, Darth Revan. Talk about mind-blowing. Next up, Earthbound. When a meteorite crashes near your house, you enlist the help of your annoying neighbor Pokey to check out the damage. You eventually realize that the evil alien Gygas, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing that name, is in the process of destroying the universe. The big reveal is that your annoying neighbor Pokey is really a villain, working together with Gygas. In the sequel, Mother 3, Pokey has become an immortal time traveler. This just makes you appreciate your neighbors all the more, doesn't it? Heavy Rain. The main character, Scott Shelby, is great with children, sometimes, and a fantastic detective who's chasing after the elusive origami killer. Throughout the game, we sympathize with the plight of Shelby as he chases the horrible killer only to realize that he is that killer. The detective is too good and has gone to chasing only his own demons. The entire game builds to an ending that leaves the player feeling creepy for rooting for and sympathizing with the real killer, yourself. The big twist in Final Fantasy X is how to pronounce the main character's name. Because the game literally never says it once throughout the 100-hour experience. Alright, so maybe that isn't the big twist. But the game actually has many different twists, with some of them connecting. So, we have a sacrifice being made during the final summon. I believe Seymour's mother sacrifices herself to become his Aeon Anima, Titus actually not existing in the timeline the game takes place in, because he is the manifestation of a dream the beings called the Faith are having, which means if or when they wake up, he will simply disappear, which, by the way, is the entire reason he is there in the first place. The Faith want Titus to defeat sin permanently so they can cease their dreaming. But if he succeeds, the dream will end, and Titus himself will disappear. So Final Fantasy X has you playing through most of the game, knowing once your journey is over, not only will the main character cease to exist, but because of the final summon, so will another important character. To add on to this, you find out that Sin is actually your father, who you believed had died while you were young, and then adding on top of this once again, the one who finally defeats Sin will simply become the next incarnation of Sin. Yes, this is literally one twist on top of a second, a third twist on top of a fourth. Then those two twists twist together, and it leaves you replaying the game with half of your mind twisted into a pretzel and the other half completely melted. And upon the second time completing it, you're still asking, what just happened? If you enjoy the videos on my channel, please consider subscribing, checking out my second channel focusing on movies and TV shows, and my Patreon where you can join in as a guest in upcoming videos, watch new videos first, you can have me join in and collaborate on videos for your own channel, have custom artwork or custom avatars made of yourself or for your channel, and much more.